Joel Patterson, workplace culture expert. Thevested.com is his website. He heads up that firm that is always on the best places to work list. So let's get into the conversation. Joel, welcome to KDKA here in Pittsburgh about Zoom fatigue. This is a real thing here, isn't it?
Yeah, thank you, Dan. It's nice to be here. And there's no doubt Zoom fatigue it sounds like a cliche, but it's a real thing that everyone is, I think, experiencing more and more every single day. One of the things that people don't really think about is when you're having a meeting in the office, you don't sit across from somebody and just stare at their face the whole time. And that all by itself isn't natural, and it's something that we've kind of got to get used to, and you don't have the social cues that you're used to being able to pick up on whenever you're sitting with somebody, and the rapport building is kind of gone because when you jump on a Zoom call, it's straight to business, you get it done, and then you drop off, and you're just missing a lot of the things that we're used to being able to do socially at work. And unfortunately, the Zoom meetings don't allow it. It actually kind of makes it worse and doesn't allow for a lot of the things that we'd like to do to make life a little better at work.
You know, all of our industries are so relationship-based, and relationships are so important, and it's really just stripped of it, and it has been awkward. That's a great point that you make. I'm also reading, Joel, that Zoom fatigue, it puts a literal strain on your brain. Like, how do you fix that?
Well, I don't know if it's just kind of like everything that's happening these days. There's probably not a perfect answer for everyone, but there are a few things that you can do to just kind of make it a little bit simpler. First of all, one thing that we're all guilty of is multitasking while we're on these calls. You know, you think you can kind of get away with replying to a text or an email or something, and they're not going to notice. Well, first of all, they notice. We always do when you start looking around, but it also, that taxes your brain all by itself. You can use the speaker view. I'm guilty of this too. I usually like the gallery view, so you can kind of see the Brady Bunch of it, what everybody is doing as they're paying attention to the call. But if you just use the speaker view and you're only seeing one person at a time, it makes it simpler to stay focused and to not wander with your eyes and your brain subsequently, just thinking about what those people are doing. And this is kind of funny, but maybe don't have a Zoom call. Maybe just have a phone call or communicate via email. I mean, it's okay to not have every single meeting be video conferencing and use some of the technology that seems old school now. And then one other thing I think that works pretty well is try to find ways in your company to make Zoom activities fun. It doesn't always have to be business every second of the day. One example we did this week is I actually cut one of our employees' hair while a stylist was on another Zoom call telling me what to do. And I've never cut anybody's hair in my entire life.
Oh boy.
And it was, we had it as sort of a lunch and learn, and it didn't go as badly as you might expect. And we, just had a good time, and everybody can make fun of each other. And it's just an easy way to pass the time, develop some of those social relationships, and still use the technology that sometimes drives us crazy.
What kind of haircut was it?
It was a very simple 1-inch long haircut all the way around. Okay. The problem I struggled with was he has a little bit of curly hair. It's gotten a little bit long, and if you've never done that, I discovered that curly hair is pretty challenging to cut.
We're learning everything here on our phone call here with Joel Patterson. We're not doing this over Zoom, mind you. Just a good old-fashioned, give him a call on the cell phone. He's a workplace expert, joins us here as we really need to focus in on and figure out a way to make this palatable because the finish line keeps getting pushed back on us. Anybody could do something for 2 to 3 weeks, 2 to 3 months. All right, and now we're looking at 3 to 6 months. So as Zoom, something that people didn't even know how to use or navigate or know what it was back in February, now it's a daily part of their life, maybe all-encompassing, all-consuming. Do we need to start regulating how many of these calls we do per day or week? If so, do you have any suggested numbers, Joel?
Again, it's going to depend on the individual situation, but I would say you need to definitely at least schedule time in between your calls to kind of recover, focus on other things. again, when you get that hyper focus when you're on these calls, and that's really what is ultimately making you tired. And you need that decompression to be able to just step back, gather yourself, and be ready to go. The other thing, you don't have to schedule a call for a full hour or even a full 30 minutes. Make it 20 minutes. That way you've got some buffer on either end. But I don't think there's any doubt that the honeymoon period is over with Zoom. It was kind of fun at the beginning. I think everybody was, sort of new. We'd done some video calls in the past, but nothing like we do now. We're a technology services company, and so we were used to doing a lot of travel and a lot of in-person meetings with our clients. And so, but we are technology savvy. So it wasn't a big change for us to figure out how to use everything, but going to doing that full time now and not having any alternative to do something else has required us to do the same as anyone else, any other companies, and really just, 3 or 4 times a day have a Zoom call at most. I like to keep mine to 2, but that's not always possible. And always look for ways to find that time in between them to just gather yourself and recover.
Chatting with Joel Patterson, we're talking about employee mental health and how we have really not been able to find a way to turn this off. And that's something in the article that I was reading that really led me to you to dig a little bit deeper on this and learn more about it. You say to take the breaks and do all of that stuff. What sort of rules and parameters do we need to be setting for our work day, and how do we go about doing this? I think we sort of know what we have to do. We just don't know how we get from here to there.
Yeah, I think it's really a lot of it has to do with your environment. One of the things that also is creating a lot of problems for people is that they may not have a perfect office set up at home, so they're sitting on a couch and they're having their Zoom meetings, and then they're working on email, and they're doing all this stuff, and then the evening time comes around, and they're sitting in the same spot on the couch and watching a movie with their kids, and there's no transition or anything. And so I think the first step is to really make sure that you have a place for you to be productive, and that shouldn't be in the exact same spot, if you can help it, the exact same spot that you're spending your evening time with your family. Another thing is really, as we move forward, figuring out what the work from home situation looks like in general. We, for a long time as an organization, were kind of against the work from home thing, not because we didn't trust people, but because culture is truly the number one thing that we focus on. And having people in the same place and being able to develop rapport, have the water cooler talk, all of those things were very important to us. And we didn't want that. We didn't want to lose that aspect of it. But we know now, like a lot of people, that's got to change. Probably have at least 2 days a week where people will have the option of working from home. And so I think when you're looking for ways to structure the future working environment, a lot of it just has to do with the schedule of people who are going to be home versus the office, and then making sure that you have an environment at home that you don't have to worry about the dog barking in your background or a kid interrupting you, because that creates distraction for you as well, so that you can get away, be productive, and make sure that you're not actually working more hours. Our people are really describing their days as, not only am I sit in the same spot, but because I don't have that transition time that I used to have on the drive home, I'm actually working more hours, and maybe I'm more productive technically, but over the long haul, you're going to burn out. And we worry about that just as much as we do somebody not being busy enough.
Joel Patterson, we're talking about the workplace culture moving forward. So from an employer's perspective, how do you wrap your arms around this and find the balance? I would assume that there's going to be a lot, not a little, of trial and error in this. So where do you begin if you own a small business, or heck, you're part of the C-suite that is making decisions here and thinking of post-COVID business operations?
Yeah, the easiest answer to that is I don't know. And I think that nobody does. And I think that what is most important is that you are honest and you're vulnerable with your people, and tell them that. Say, look, I don't have all of the answers, but here's what we're going to do. We're going to make a plan, and we're going to do the best that we can with that plan, but we're going to also recognize that plan may not work. And we need to have the flexibility to step back, make a couple of changes, reevaluate it, and then roll forward and see what works then. People will respect that. I think over a lot of years, people have got this idea, this image of what it means to lead a company, and it's, you're gruff and you have all the answers and you just point and you tell people what to do. And that's just not the reality. And nobody really well, I shouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people don't respect that. And what you really got to do is again, show them that you are doing everything that you possibly can, that you don't know all the answers, but you promise and you are committed to figuring them out. And we're all, the nice thing about today is everybody's in the same boat. It's not like we're in a situation where some people aren't having to deal with COVID. I mean, it's not that at all. So take advantage of the fact that we're going through this as a nation and as a world, and recognize that we've got to make some decisions, do the best you can, and let's see what happens.
What are your resources? Where do you go, Joel? Because obviously your company, the Vested Group, is it's modern cloud-based e-commerce solutions for growing companies, but you're constantly always on the best places to work list. That takes time, that takes energy, that takes thought, that takes focus. What are the things that you're putting your energy towards? What are the things that you are focusing on? What is part of the conviction here that is really fueling your success and making your company a go-to for people raising their hand and saying, hey, I want to work there?
I've learned a lot through failure. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, we fail a lot before we succeed. And this is my second company to found. And the first one, we had a great culture early on and just got too big and didn't really have a good plan to deal with it. We got very virtual, and it kind of fell apart from a culture perspective. And when I started the Vested Group, from day one, the goal was, we're going to make this company focused on the success and engagement of our employees. Yeah, we're going to take care of our clients, but happy employees take care of or make happy clients. And we've stuck with that mantra. I think more than anything, I've tried to create an environment where I would want to work, where I would have fun, I would feel like I was valued, I would be engaged. And it's not that difficult, but like you said, it takes work. And I can tell 10 different things that you could do potentially that would be tools to make you a better organization. Core values and respect and these things that are important, but it takes work, and you've got to be diligent about it, and you got to do it every single day. And I think that's where a lot of people, they take a course and they say a couple of things, but they don't necessarily follow through with it. We've got 6 core values that not only do we talk about all the time, but we make hiring and firing decisions with them. I mean, it's part of our vernacular, and it's really simple things like that, but that are very impactful, that as long as you're consistent long term, it's going to change the way that your people feel. We're in an industry where it's not uncommon for companies to have 15 to 20% turnover a year, and we're about 2% on average.
Wow.
So we're not turning over hardly at all, and that's money. There's real value to that when you don't have to replace your people that are working with clients and bring in somebody new to introduce them to and learn their business. All of these things, keeping happy employees engaged and focused on their job and making sure that they have a good time while they're there, really turns into more bottom line profitability.
Joel Patterson, workplace culture expert. So for somebody that's struggling to get a grasp on this right now, whether they're an employee or more so speaking to employers as they try to navigate this, or maybe they are among the statistics of the 10, 15, 20% in annual turnover, and they really, because it's money, they have to mitigate that and they have to turn that around, and they're trying to keep the ship afloat here and everybody happy inside their building. What advice would you give them?
Well, I mean, listen, we, especially through this time, there's really 3 kind of pillars that I've been focused on as a leader, and it's to communicate openly and to listen. So that communication channel is in both directions, right? You've got to provide purpose. One of the things in our business that has become a struggle at times, because our business slowed down. We've been basically flat since COVID started, and that's okay. We haven't laid anybody off. We haven't had to furlough anybody, and we've just looked at it like, as long as we can keep the lights on and keep people with their health benefits, then we're going to be okay. But the downside of that is our people aren't as busy. And yeah, that might sound good to some people, but our people they're pretty aggressive and type A personalities. And when they're bored, that is the absolute worst situation for them. That's when they will be disengaged, and they will their satisfactory scores will go way down at that point. So we have to make sure that they have purpose in their job every single day. And then the final thing, it sounds simple but fun. I'm a huge believer in making sure that people have an opportunity to laugh, have an opportunity to interact with their coworkers. As an example, a very easy example, we had an all-hands meeting the other day, and we had this one guy in the office who just absolutely refuses not to wear tank tops, even when he's in the office a lot of the time. And we're always giving him a hard time about it, but he just won't stop doing it, and now it's become a thing. And so for our monthly all-hands meeting, we let everybody know, except for him, that we were all wearing tank tops. And it's a little more challenging to find a tank top than you might expect. As I've gotten older, I actually had to borrow one. But just getting on a call with everybody, and we had 60 people wearing tank tops, and knowing we were giving him a hard time, and seeing a smile on his face, and letting everybody be part of the inside joke, it just matters. It
Big
makes
icebreaker.
It's a silly thing,
breaks
but
the
it makes
tension.
a difference.
Breaks the tension. Joel, hey, thank you so much. I appreciate you. We're going to circle back to you here before too long. All the best to you, and I appreciate your expertise. Be well.
Thank you, Dan. Take care.
That's Joel Patterson, workplace culture expert.